And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Talk Spicy. I'm Coach Gene Clemens. Thank you for joining me wherever you would join me. Rate the show, comment, agree, disagree. But whatever you do, keep it spicy. 5-star ratings are appreciated. And if you're joining me on the YouTube channel, we're climbing. We're slowly climbing, but we're climbing. We're going to be at 2,000 before we know it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our 50th episode of Talk Spicy. So thank you to everybody who joins me in the mornings, who clicks over, who retweets, who watches it at some point during the day, whether it is on Twitter, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on Facebook, wherever else it might be going when somebody puts it somewhere. I really do appreciate it. The reason why I got into journalism when I was in college, the reason why I always knew I wanted to be involved in journalism is because I always knew the power of words. Words have serious power. Ever since I was a kid, I've understood the power of words. I got into a lot of fights over words. A lot of fights because I said something to somebody that they found offensive, that they didn't like, that they felt the need to defend themselves physically over. And so it's amazing to me when I see people who are in the media who don't understand the power of their words. Your words have power. There's no reason to act as if these words don't have power. We should just understand it and be better, or be ready to take whatever's coming back our way. So on Saturday, I made a comment on Twitter about Malik Willis, and I talked about how he was poised and in control, and everything that he did to me pointed towards him being QB1. People retweeted it, people liked it. It had some good traffic on it. That's not what I did it for, but I could see that there were a lot of people that out there that still agreed. And then yesterday, I think it was yesterday, maybe the day before yesterday, I received a comment saying, well, he's Lamar 2.0. I still have this quarterback and this quarterback as 1 and 2. And he said it, and it struck me as odd because he said it as if Malik Willis being a Lamar 2.0 was a bad thing. So I hit him back and I said, well, if he's Lamar 2.0, then he's the number 1 pick in the draft. And then he switched it up and went, well, what has Lamar done? Or you know what I'm saying? What has he done? He was like, even ACC quarterbacks coming from what he called the Clemson Invitational. But he went to the what has he done? And I went, well, he won the MVP. That's what he did. Then he went, yeah, but what has he won outside of the MVP? He just kept moving the goalposts now, talking about Lamar Jackson. But for me, my thought process was that we're not even talking about the NFL. We're talking about college and college prospects. Malik Willis has been impressive. So then he goes, well, you just have to be careful with those small college guys because who has he played? And I went, when has your level of play, where you went to school at, when has that ever mattered when talking about a quarterback? As we look back on drafts now, Trey Lance just went number 3 overall, 4 overall. Trey Lance went early from a small school, not really playing anybody, right? Well, a smaller school, an FCS school, not a Power 5 school. North Dakota State don't beat me up because I said not playing anybody. We get it. Zach Wilson just went top of the class, not playing anybody. and so on and so forth. Over the years, we've seen these quarterbacks make meteoric rises from smaller schools. Smaller, not small, smaller schools. So why can't Malik Willis? Why is it different for him? You know why it's different for him? Because there's power in words. When he says, who is he played, that plants the seed in the people to go, oh, well, he really isn't playing anybody. When they say Lamar Jackson, what has he won? That plants the seed. Oh, well, what has he won? Well, man, if we're just going off of whether or not a quarterback can be elite if he wins a Super Bowl, then we got to take every quarterback off the screen except Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, who won one a million years ago, Russell Wilson, who won one what feels like a million years ago. Who else? What other quarterbacks have won in the league? What other quarterbacks in this league right now have won a Super Bowl? So if that's what we're given as the ceiling, our words have power. When we tell people, well, what has he won for Lamar Jackson, but we don't say what has he won for Baker Mayfield, or what has he won for Josh Allen, or what has he won for Sam Darnold, we're being disingenuous. We're being disingenuous. What has he won cannot apply when you win all the time. What has Lamar Jackson won? Football games. That's what he's won. He has a ridiculously high winning percentage in the NFL. That is hard to do. Mark Andrews. It's no disrespect to those guys, but though that's not a number one receiver, and Mark Andrews, as good of a threat as he is with Baltimore, he's not in the same class as Darren Waller. You saw that on Monday night. He's not in the same class as Kelsey, as Kittle, as Gronk in his prime. So what are we doing? The power of words matter. When we plant these seeds in people's heads, we make it seem as if they're not worthy. Cam Newton has not signed with a team. Somebody tell me why. Because we plant words in the heads of people to make them think that teams shouldn't touch them. Those same people who make the decisions are the same people who are listening. Cam Newton's not on the NFL team, even though we know there's a ton of quarterbacks in the NFL that are not vaccinated. Cam Newton's not in the league, even though he's outperformed most of the quarterbacks in the NFL. He said himself, there are not 32 quarterbacks better than me in this league. He's right. The Washington football team, they don't have a quarterback on a roster that can hold Cam's job. And yet, the arrogance of Washington not to bring that guy in immediately. You're just going to waste a top 5 defense with Taylor Heineke. You're just going to waste a top 5 defense with Taylor Heineke. Why? Oh, because Cam isn't vaccinated. Because those are the words that we use to try to discredit Cam. Oh, well, last year he had an opportunity to get Cam in Washington, and he didn't take it. Well, at the time, they were just getting there. There was a quarterback that they had just drafted a year beforehand, already there. Why would they take Cam at that point? They also had Alex Smith coming back. Why would they have taken Cam at that point? That doesn't make any sense, but it makes perfect sense now. It makes perfect sense now. And you need him because the quarterbacks that you have in Washington are not going to win you games. For as great as they talk about Taylor Heineke playing in the playoffs last year, He still lost. They still lost. Cam Newton wins that game in New England the other day, by the way. Hate to break the news to you, Mac Jones lovers. Cam Newton wins that game. You know why? Because Cam Newton brings an element that Mac Jones will never bring. Mac Jones is gonna dink and dunk and check it off and not turn the ball over, sure. But man, it looked a little bit different when that heat was coming at him. He didn't really seem to know what to do other than to get the ball away. Cam Newton not being in Washington right now comes down to narrative. And people say those narratives because those words have power. Well, if Washington didn't want him when he was originally a free agent, then they know something we don't know. Yeah, they knew at the time they had quarterbacks, and Cam Newton was coming off an injury. But this preseason, Cam Newton has looked great. He's looked great. He didn't lose a quarterback competition. They gave the job to Mac Jones. And I agree with the decision. That doesn't mean that Cam Newton's washed. That means that they took a first-round draft pick on a quarterback. They put him out there. But the narrative makes it seem that when we say these things, well, you know, he got beat out in New England for the job. No, he didn't. Those words have power. They make people think, well, he's not that good anymore. That's disingenuous. Diana Rossini quoted a tweet that talked about Jamarr Chase saying that he wanted to break every receiving record known to man. You know what she said in her quote? She said, maybe win some games first. And I'm not quoting her verbatim. She said something along those lines. Hey, maybe win some games first. How dare you, Diana Rossini? How dare you? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you believe someone should or should not be thinking about. If that man has done everything in his power to be at this level, then you have to give him the benefit of the doubt that he's out there trying to win. How dare you plant the seed that all he cares about is himself, that he doesn't care about winning? Because that's what you do when you say those words, and when you have a platform as big as Diana Rossini does, those words have a lot of power. It's just not a few people listening to her on a podcast like it is with me. There are thousands upon thousands of people out there, sports fans, listening to Diana Rossini spit that garbage about, oh, well, worry about winning first. Last time I checked, you can tell me I'm wrong. My mentions are open. You can tell me I'm wrong. Last time I checked, Cincinnati won the game. They won the game this weekend. Why did they win the game? Because Jamarr Chase went off for over 100 yards and a touchdown. You just spent the entire preseason killing this man, talking about they should have took Penei Sewell. Penei Sewell, he can be a really good offensive lineman, but guess what he's not going to do? He's not going to change the fortunes of the Lions. No offensive lineman has ever changed the fortunes of a team. Not a team that was bad. Offensive linemen only change the fortunes of teams that are already good. The Indianapolis Colts were already good. They add a Quentin Nelson. They get even better. Still not winning a championship. Offensive linemen are not changing the culture. Skill guys do that. And Jamarr Chase is that. And he should be going after every record. You know why? Because why else do we play if it's not to reach the highest of the heights? So for Diana Rossini to say something like, oh, well, worry about winning, And then to hide behind this mask of, well, maybe I'm old school. No, you're not. If that's the case, every time somebody says something that's braggadocious, you should be on Twitter posting, worry about winning. Because there's only one guy consistently winning championships. His name's Tom Brady. Everybody else is either just winning games, which you guys keep telling us is not enough, or they're not winning, where you blame everybody else except them. All of a sudden, Sam Darnold was good, and it was all the Jets' fault because he beat the Jets, who were bad when he was there. What kind of sense does that make? Words have power. You guys should use those words wisely. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for episode 50 of Talk Spicy. I'm Coach Gene Clemens. Do this thing a few times a week. Rate the show, comment, agree, disagree, but whatever you do, keep it spicy. 5-star ratings are appreciated. If you're joining me on the YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. We'll see you later. Peace.